So I just wanted to touch on the Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997, a federal law signed by President Bill Clinton on November 19th, 1997, which amended the Social Security Act to make the health and safety of children, supposedly did that, the paramount concern in child welfare and foster care decisions. But it actually did not, because you're going to discover, if you look at the underlying bill, that there's some issues with it. Shifting focus from absolute family reunification toward permanent placements like adoption, right? So, how is that making a safe family when you're kidnapping children? Okay, because we all know that the CPS people, some of them, remove children, okay, without no kind of nothing. I mean, really, they'll do it for any reason. And the Supreme Court has already told them you can't be doing that. The core requirements of child safety priority, mandating that the child's safety and well-being come first in any case, plan, or court decision, which I've rarely seen done correctly. A child's well-being is not to be stripped of both of their parents through child support and the Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997, proposed by Bill Clinton, who went to Epstein Island, an island where a man had a child trafficking ring, okay? And you're going to tell me that the guy who signed this bill, who worked together with this other guy I'm going to show you here in a second, you mean to tell me that these bills are still being used? These programs are still operating when they're connected to the known human trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Okay? Why are they connected? I've gotten into that before. If you're looking for that, it's on my YouTube channel. I break down how are you paying your Epstein support this month? Because there's a whole thing of that. But this is so they're supposed to have they're supposed to have the child safety priority, but really what they have is a 1522 rule that requires states to file for the termination of parental rights, TPR, if a child has been in foster care for 15 of the most recent 22 months. So if your kid's in foster care, you better get with me and start acting now. Start learning your shit now. Why? Because they're going to come for your parental rights if you leave your child in foster care. Do you understand? Now, this, of course, does not meet the standard of strict scrutiny, which is what is required by the Supreme Court to interfere in parental rights any way, shape, or form, okay? They cannot have baseless accusations. They can't just take your kid away and put them in foster care and then say, oh, well, they're not contacting us, right? Because they're going to lock them up in jail or whatever else that we're going to do to them, okay? They can't just do that. They can't just do that. Why? Strict scrutiny standard, that's why. The state has to have a compelling state interest. What is that? A compelling state interest is not losing their contract funding. That is not a compelling state interest. A compelling state interest is not the child looked a little underweight. It's not the child clothes were a little bit dirty, or the parent yelled at the child. These do not fall within the category of strict scrutiny or compelling state interest for the government to be acting upon you and your family. That's how they get them removed to the CPS in the first place. This is after they're removed. Okay? After they're removed, if they sit in that foster care for 15 months, which is just a little bit over a year, they're gonna TPR you take your parental rights away, and you'll never see your child again. No cause. They don't have to have a cause. Just that your child was in foster care for 15 of the most recent 22 months. Also, child and the word children, according with Legal Dictionary, are words of purchase. Okay? So, your human offspring are not something that the government can force you to purchase back from them. Okay? You see what I'm saying? Children and child are words of purchase. Your human offspring should not be being sold. I believe that they would call that child trafficking. The government should know that you can't purchase a child, okay? Which they're doing. Permanency hearings. It requires courts or administrative bodies. That is a violation of the separation of powers doctrine. Because administrative bodies and courts cannot use the same code of law against a private citizen without violating the separation of powers doctrine by using each other's core fucking functions. Excuse my language. I'm trying not to cuss. These people are pissing me off. This is what added the financial incentives. Okay? So, but courts or administrative bodies to hold permanency hearings for children in care at least every 12 months. So they can go ahead and, make sure that they're notified when it's time to swipe your child by taking away your parental rights, which they cannot do. That is a violation of Supreme Court precedent, and that is applicable to all states. Okay? Financial incentives. Providing financial bonuses to states that successfully increase the number of foster children adopted into permanent families. So the more parental rights that they deprive, the more they get paid. And what is it when you pay a public official to violate someone's rights or commit a crime? That is a bribe. And what is it when a public official takes money outside of their delegated funding? That is an emolument violation. It required a mandatory criminal background check for all prospective foster and adoptive parents. So then why are there so many foster and adoption parents on the news for allowing the children to be assaulted explicitly? Why are there so many being found out as child predators in the DCFS system? I thought they were doing background checks. What, did they stop? I'm sure they did. Oh wait, the background checks are only for the prospective foster families. They don't background check their agents who have CSC charges. Is that what I'm taking it? How I'm taking it? Because otherwise, why would we have news report after news report after news report of them getting caught for this? Huh? So really, it's not a point of putting them on notice anymore. They've had time to think about what they've done. Now is the time to start arresting them. Citizens arrest, pull them out. They all need to be locked away. I don't give a fuck who does it. They all need to be locked away. Why? Because they're kidnapping children. Human trafficking for profit. Right under your nose. And they work for the government. And they need to be locked away. Because that's tyranny. On top of that, they need to be locked away for the numerous federal crimes that they're committing. Okay, expedited interstate placement of children, and I know you got it out there. I know I know you're hiding it in the Code of Federal Regulations and the United States Code, and I'm gonna re-find it again. I have it somewhere already. It's just buried in my filing cabinet that is my phone. Okay, so look, if you're on the down low, I'm coming for you. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna find you, and I'm gonna lock you away. You will not see a child again in your entire life for what you have done. And you can't sit here and pretend you didn't do it, because we have all the proof, we have the receipts. You tendered receipt of your atrocities and your crimes against humanity. There it is. Took me a second. The key exceptions to the 1522 rule: relative placement. If the child is being cared for by a relative, then they can't TPR you. If the state or agency documents a compelling reason why termination of parental rights is not in the child's best interest. You know what the best interest of the child is? It is not the sole constitutional criterion on which parents exercise the control, custody, upbringing, and decision-making of their children, according with Troxel versus Granville, you stupid piece of shit state agencies. Okay? Get it right. You do not have a compelling state interest. What is a compelling state interest? Doing heroin or meth in front of your children. Physically or explicitly abusing your children. Purposely starving your children or keeping them in a kennel. Not being too poor. Not my child's a little underweight. Not a child. The word child is a word of purchase. Black's Law Dictionary. Lack of services. The state failed to provide the necessary family support or reunification services outlined in the case plan. Interesting. But they'll just blame it on you and say you're the one that didn't cooperate with the parenting plan. Well, look here. You're not paying rent. You are not paying rent. Okay? You shouldn't be. But that's what the government's got going on. But we're not going to do that, are we? Why? Because we are smart people. Okay? And I'm just going to tell you right now that all this right here is a violation of the 5th and 14th Amendment. I'm going to add a caveat to these key exceptions to the 1522 rule. That would be due process, the right to be heard, okay? And familial association. Okay? You fucking idiot bar member attorneys. Go look up what strict scrutiny is. You stupid. Strict scrutiny. The guy who wrote this bill should have known what strict scrutiny was, but he did not. Because he was not a smart man. He was a shill. Somebody who passed Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton's little baby to extort America of all of their family finances through the child support system by hooking shit like this to it. Oh. And they both knew Jeffrey Epstein. Hillary Clinton lied about knowing Jeffrey Epstein because I found it in the emails of Jeffrey Epstein's travel advisor. Okay? They were using Bank of America and JP Morgan. JP Morgan were taking child support payments for wage garnishment. Okay? So that money of a bank gets funneled. The money that you put into a bank is not the same money you pull out. It goes somewhere else. JP Morgan and Bank of America were funding Jeffrey Epstein's private island where they explicitly abused children and cannibalized people. Allegedly. So, it's no wonder why they won't release the fucking files. Moving on. If you want to know the man who basically drafted the program that is depriving you of your parental rights and causing millions of American families to be gutted of their children for a social fucking welfare system that robs them. It's this fucking guy in Congress from 1991 to 2015, Representative Dave Camp from Michigan. You fucking piece of shit. I hope you're dead, because I don't want to have to track you down and throw you in prison, because I got enough people to do that too. And I will make it happen. I don't care what anybody has to say about me. I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I don't care if people think I'm too angry. You are not fucking angry enough. That is your problem. You whine, you complain, you tell your story 50 million times, but you don't do nothing about it, do you? You don't learn anything. You just relive your trauma over and over and over and over. And when someone tries to teach you something, you ignore them, call them a nutcase, call them a disinformationist like myself. Okay, I call people disinformationists when I can prove that it's disinformation, which I'm able to do because statutes and codes are laws. Rules and regulations are not. And that case never fucking said that. So people can take that case law right out of their mouth, including you, Bad Wolf. I know you're subscribed to my channel, so hello. Hey, Jessica Saxton, if you want to know who created the system that's violating all these parental rights that you're fighting right now with these incentive payments to states for providing permanent families for children, it was Dave Camp. That's who did this to everyone. It was Bill Clinton, Dave Camp, and probably Hillary Clinton drumming this up, creating this piece of shit legislation. A bunch of piece of shit motherfucking baby boomers trying to tell you how to live, how to parent your children, what your rights are, what you can and can't do when they don't have the authority to do that. Okay? This is who's doing it, Jess. I wish you well. Reach out if you need anything. This is 111 stat 2115. Okay? This is where all of this comes from 1997. This is when it got a lot worse. Okay, they were trying to fix a previously broken foster care system, and they just made it worse. Okay, because they did not have the correct metrics. They thought that paying people more money to get people out of foster care and into adoption, to empty the foster care system, okay? Because they're just taking more and more and more and more and more in, because the CPS people are allowed to just deprive you of your rights, okay? They're allowed to use the best interests of the child standard, okay? The best interest of the child is not what you think that it is. It is a standard that the government uses to take your child, okay? What you think is a child, that's your human offspring, not your child. Like I said, the word child is a word of purchase. You shouldn't have to purchase what God gave you. Okay, they're gonna say reasonable efforts, okay? We made reasonable efforts. And see, this is their little loophole. They're gonna try to say they, wanna keep families together. But really, except as provided in subparagraph D, reasonable efforts shall be made. So, subparagraph D, reasonable efforts of the type described in paragraph B shall not be required to be made with respect to a parent of a child if a court of competent jurisdiction, they don't have competent jurisdiction, okay? They're incompetent, okay? Has determined that the parent has subjected the child to aggravated circumstances, which would be strict scrutiny, okay, as defined in state law, which definition may include but not be limited to abandonment. Abandonment is not just leaving your kid somewhere. It's leaving your kid with the intent to never return. Under these definitions, the word abandonment could be construed to say if you're not paying your child support, then we don't have to make reasonable efforts with you. Okay? And a bunch of other shit. Okay? So, they're giving themselves exceptions when the shit doesn't apply to them. Okay? Under Section I, the parent has subjected the child to aggravated circumstances, which I could understand. Abandonment, torture, chronic abuse, explicit abuse. That's fine. That is strict scrutiny standard, bro. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Section 2, the parent has committed murder. Okay, that's understandable. Or voluntary manslaughter. So aided or abetted, attempted, conspired, or solicited to commit such murder. Committed a felony assault that results in serious bodily injury to the child or another child of the parent. These are all understandable here, okay? We're not into it yet, okay? So these are reasons where you can take a child. These are the only reasons you should be able to remove a child, okay? Not just for abandonment, okay? People get lost. If a child gets lost, is that abandonment? Abandonment is the intent to never return, such as signing off your parental rights. Okay, but they're going to determine this with the best interests of the child. The parental rights of the parent to a sibling have been terminated involuntarily. So if they take one of your children, they're taking them all, okay? If reasonable efforts of the type described in B are not made with respect to a child as a result of a determination made by a court of competent jurisdiction, a permanency hearing shall be held for the child within 30 days after the determination. And reasonable efforts shall be made to place the child in a timely manner in accordance with the permanency plan and to complete whatever steps are necessary to finalize the permanent placement of the child. Which means they're going to take them and you're never going to get them back. So it doesn't seem like it violates your rights. But nothing in this part shall be construed as precluding state courts from exercising discretion to protect the health and safety of children in individual cases, including cases other than these described. Which means, if the judge decides that you're a danger to your children, based upon whatever the judge decides at their discretion, then they can ignore these fucking rules right here. Which is a loophole, which allows them to traffic children, okay? And what they're doing is using the judge's discretion. If they can't safely be maintained in and returned to your home, okay? I think you need to take a psych evaluation before we let you have your kid back. Oh, it seems to me that your psych evaluation said you're crazy. So that's a compelling interest to remove your child. You're an abuser. Meanwhile, people actually committing real abuse on children are getting away with it because you stupid motherfuckers don't prosecute them. You only prosecute the good ones. So it's played out time and time again and time again. I mean, for crying out loud, I have the news reports of it. States required here at 111 Stat 2118. States required to initiate or join proceedings to terminate parental rights for certain children in foster care. Here's a bunch of stuff where they're moving around the language and amending it. Okay? In the case of a child who has been in foster care under the responsibility of the state for 15 out of the most recent 22 months by using the best interests of the child standard and CPS and unconstitutional instruments such as writs of assistance, things like that. You know, that's what they do. Okay, so recent 22 months, or if a court of competent jurisdiction, they don't have it and they're incompetent, has determined a child to be an abandoned infant or has made a determination that the parent has committed murder. These are reasons to go ahead and take your kids from you, bro. You can't be doing all that, okay? So pretty much, they're saying in this law right here that they can't do everything that they're doing. So why are the courts, the family courts, acting like this? Using perjury. The only way they can get you is if they perjure the record somehow in order to get strict scrutiny standard to take your kid away. That's the only fucking way they can do it. Unless you're really fucking up. And if you are, then I can't help you. You don't get to hurt people. Okay? But essentially, if the judge feels like you might be a danger to your kids, they can go ahead and throw these statutes right out the window and do whatever they want. So that's how they're getting over on you. Okay? What are the reasonable efforts that they have to make? Okay? In determining reasonable efforts to be made with respect to a child as described in this paragraph, and in making such reasonable efforts, the child's health and safety shall be the paramount concern. Okay? Reasonable efforts shall be made to preserve and reunify families prior to the placement of a child in foster care, to prevent and eliminate the need for removing the child from the child's home. Okay? To make it possible for a child to return safely to the child's home. But if they can't contact you, then they make reasonable effort to contact you, and you don't reply to them and give them jurisdiction, what they're gonna do is say that they've made reasonable efforts, and because you didn't show up, they're gonna put them in adoption, and then they're gonna TPR you. It's gonna take them about 12 months to 14 months to TPR you after that point. And if we see on section C right here, 111 Stat 2116, okay? If you look right here, section C, okay? If continuation of reasonable efforts of the type described is determined to be inconsistent with the permanency plan for the child, reasonable efforts shall be made to place the child in a timely manner in accordance with the permanency plan, and to complete whatever steps are necessary to finalize the permanent placement of the child. Okay? So, if the reasonable efforts are inconsistent with the permanency plan that they made up and had you sign, such as supervised visits, psycho evaluations, and all this other stuff, okay? If the reasonable efforts conflict with the stuff that they're telling you to do, they don't have to reunify your children, and thereby giving them another fucking loophole to kidnap your kids. It's right here, folks. Right here. These are the incentive payment shit, and 111 Stat 2124, okay? Public Law 105-89-89. This right here is the incentive payments. What is that? A bribe, because they're terminating your rights. Okay? So, this here is an emolument violation and a bribe. Okay? They give, it keeps going. They haven't shut the funding off at any rate. But this is where they appropriated a bunch of money to do all of this. In general, the secretary may directly or through grants or contracts, contracts, strictly applicable to a contract. The CPS workers are not a fucking arm of the state. Stop saying that. They have nothing to do with the state other than they fucking work for them. Okay? Under a contract for fixed term for services. Okay? Provide technical assistance to assist states and local communities to reach their targets for increased numbers of adoptions, and to the extent that adoption is not possible, alternative permanent placements for children in foster care. Permanent means removed permanently, never going back. So it doesn't sound like they want to keep families out of that system. It sounds like they're trying to put them into it. Description of the character of the technical assistance provided under paragraph 1 may support the goal of encouraging more adoptions out of foster care system when the adoptions promote the best interest of children. Okay? Parents are presumed to act in the best interest of their child. Okay? The state can't just use their judge's discretion to do whatever the fuck they want, or falsify records, okay? Or falsify drug tests. They can't do that. When adoptions promote the best interests of children and may include the following: the development of best practice guidelines for expediting, which means quickly, which means without due process, or which means with a higher chance to violate due process, okay? Termination of parental rights, which is deprivation of rights under color of state law, because this is a federal law requiring it to be in effect within the state under some sort of fucking state plan. Just like the child support people. They're contractors, they can be fucking sued when they don't follow this shit here. The development of risk assessment tools to facilitate early identification of the children who will be at risk of harm if returned home. The development of specialized units and expertise in moving children towards adoption as a permanency goal. Doesn't sound like they're trying to reunify the family there, does it? Models to encourage the fast tracking of children who have not attained 1 year of age into pre-adoptive placements. They want your babies, bro. No due process. Development of programs that place children into pre-adoptive families without waiting for termination of parental rights, which is fucking kidnapping. When you use discretion instead of fucking strict scrutiny. Because you're ignoring your fucking, your best methods or whatever. They're just using bullshit and the judge's, discretion to overrule your parental rights, okay? And they're gonna pay them, okay? Not less than 50% of any amount appropriated pursuant to paragraph 4 shall be used to provide technical assistance to the courts. What is it when you pay a public official to violate somebody's rights? That is a bribe. That is what converts this incentive into a bribe. 18 United States Code 201, felony. Go to prison. Kidnapping. 18 United States Code 1201. Go to prison. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Have a nice fucking day. Here, watch this clip where Bill Clinton talks about Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, being the mastermind behind this program that is taking all your fucking kids. Here you go.
People are afraid to adopt children when they're not infants anymore. They're afraid they can't influence the course of their lives. They're afraid to adopt kids when they've got special needs because they're afraid they can't afford to do that. So she said, you're a Republican, let's give a whopping tax credit to people who adopt non-infant children. A bigger one if they'll adopt kids with special needs. And you got to give us some money to support the social transitions that these families are going through and to help the kids that are going to age out anyway. Guess what?
80% increase in child trafficking.
80% increase of adoptions out of foster care.
This is where he admits Hillary Clinton did this.
Look, I watched her do this in the Senate. I watched her do this as Secretary of State. She will find a way to make something good happen.
Welcome to the White House, and please be seated. This is a truly wonderful day. In a few minutes, the President will sign into law landmark legislation that will strengthen our foster care system and give hope and help to thousands of young people struggling to make a safe transition to adulthood and independence. None of this would have been possible without
Here she goes, listener, conspirators.
I want to thank Secretary Donna Shalala and her team at HHS, including Mary Burdett and Pat Montoya, and former Commissioner Carol Williams. I want to thank many members of Congress, and particularly those
Senator
who are
Rockefeller
here with us today. Senator Rockefeller and Senator Collins, Senator Chafee, and Representative Cardin. I want to thank Mayor Williams and his mother, Virginia, who welcomed him into her family when he was 3 years old, and authorities were about to declare him unadoptable.
Declaring them
they are
unadoptable.
among the best advertisements for the rewards
Where the fuck
and
are all the
possibilities
parents?
of adoption in America. With us
Here's
in
where she
spirit,
talks about
the late
Title
Senator
4B of the
John
Social Security
Chafee.
Act.
With us in spirit, the late Senator John Chafee. I called Senator Chafee to wish him a happy birthday. I also managed to do a little lobbying for the Foster Care Independence Act, which we've put an end to racial discrimination in adoption.
You're just going to make it
prohibiting
about eye
agencies
color
from
then, right?
denying qualified parents of one race to adopt a child of another. In 1997, we passed the Adoption and Safe Families Act,
Who
which
the fuck
cut
is we?
dramatically
Your
the amount of
Secretary of
time
State,
a
dumbass.
child can spend
Executive
in
branch.
foster care, and set an ambitious goal of doubling the number of annual adoptions by the year 2002. And as the President was able to announce just a few months ago in September, we are well on our way to meeting that goal. But it wasn't long after we passed the Adoption and Safe Families Act that we recognized we needed now to turn our efforts to a new challenge, helping those young people who never did have the opportunity either to return home or be placed in a permanent family, fulfill their promise in adulthood. Now, for many Americans, the 18th birthday is an important one. Turning 18 means you can vote. It means you can often go away to get a job or to school. But it should never mean that you're left on your own. For too many young people, turning 18 has been just the beginning of a lonely and sometimes harrowing journey toward adulthood. Just half of all young people who have aged out of foster care complete high school. Fewer than 1 in 3 have health care coverage. 1 in 4 have been homeless.
It wouldn't be because your old man was locking their parents up for not paying child support now, would it?
Aged out of foster care. They told me about being forced out of their foster homes on their birthdays, about staying in a cold dorm room alone during the holidays because...
Why the fuck have they been taken away in the first place and not reunified? Other than, obviously, abusers.
Think of all those young people who don't finish high school and who risk slipping through the cracks of our society. That is why last winter I was very pleased to unveil a new proposal in the President's budget that would extend the foster care safety net to the young people who have aged out of the foster care system but still need our help. And today I'm very pleased that that bill is about to become law.
If you go ahead and jump over to Google and you just Google Trump EO foster care, this is going to come up. So Trump said that Melania Trump, I do believe it was, said that the funding is not going where it's supposedly supposed to be going. So clearly the Clintons bamboozled you back in the day.
Hi everyone, I'm in my grandma PJs, but I just had to respond to some stuff that was said. So some GCF workers are on here saying that they don't get incentives. Well, you should probably learn the law. It's the Adoption and Safe Families Act, Title IVE funding, and you basically have to adopt a certain amount of kids out each year in order to get your federal funding. So you get $1 billion just for adopting out a certain amount of kids. So next time you want to comment, read your state laws, read your federal laws, because it's a federal law. And I don't care. I'm running for governor to eliminate these incentives and use them in a different type of way. So I have literally had it with these people, just intruding on everything that we're doing. We are trying to fix this and stop selling babies and kids. Pretty much all I have to say to you people. Thanks. To the parents out there, I'll never stop fighting for you.
We've all heard the statistics. 530,000 children are in foster care on any given day. 30% of those children are in teens. 25,000 teens each year age out of the foster care system without returning home to their birth parents. They are the youth for whom permanency planning could not and did not work. I was one of those youth who on my 18th birthday, the foster care system cut loose. Today, I'm a graduate student at the University of Michigan School of Social Work. I know that I survived a system that can be cruel. I grew up in California's foster care system, spending 11 years moving from group home, foster homes, and children's shelters.
Man, they got out here using the foster children against parents, bro. Fostering the future for American children and families. Why would they have to do that? If that program back then was gonna be so fucking successful, because it sure the fuck wasn't. Why would they have to divert the funding? Why would Trump have to divert the funding? So he's either diverting it to line his fucking pockets, or he's diverting it because Bill Clinton was lining their fucking pockets. Somebody's getting paid. And it wasn't the foster children.
All right, welcome everyone. We are so fortunate and honored to have the First Lady, Miss Melania Trump, with us today as we focus on improving the lives of the nearly 16,000 youth who are aging out of America's foster care system every year. Foster youth who age out without connections to permanent family are one of the most vulnerable populations in the U.S. Ms. Trump, I want to sincerely thank you for your longstanding leadership on this effort to create new opportunities for foster youth in America. As you have said, you will always use your influence to safeguard our children and provide them with the means to flourish. The First Lady's bold Fostering the Future initiative has put a new spotlight on our nation's foster youth. The priorities that you have identified align strongly.
Now this is where they're going to talk about Title 4B of the Social Security Act.
To the Chafee program. Chafee is the nation's primary program dedicated to supporting youth ages 14 to 23 who are transitioning out of foster care. Last month, the committee announced the introduction of 6 bills
Deja
to
vu,
modernize
anyone?
Chafee
Deja vu?
and improve outcomes for youth aging out of foster care. Each one of those bills responds to challenges that have been shared by stakeholders, witnesses, and foster youth themselves about what needs to be improved in the program, including better coordination with housing programs and expanding educational and workforce
I guess the
training
Clintons didn't do good
The
enough.
First Lady's Fostering the Future initiative, combined with the strong work that Chairman Darren LaHood and Ranking Member Danny Davis have done, has created a very unique opportunity for reform. And I am committed, as I said earlier, committed to advancing legislation through this committee as quickly as possible. This roundtable provides an opportunity for the First Lady to share with us some of the important stories she has heard from foster youth about the need for reform, and for members of this committee to hear directly about reforms that we
You're
are working on
reforming the
to
reforms!
recognize the foster youth.
Here they go. Now they're going to
What's
bring some
possible
foster
for
kids
youth.
to tell
I
you how
recently learned
bad
the story of
parents
Seth,
are that they're letting their
who was
kids go
originally
in
from
foster
Rolla
care.
in my district in Missouri. He entered foster care around age 15 and aged out at 18. He experienced homelessness, and he worked 3 jobs, walking 6 miles.
It wouldn't be because they're locking up their dads and moms under Title 4D child support, would it? Deja vu!
Which provided him stable housing. In his words, that voucher, quote, flipped the script on what he thought was possible in his life. He currently works as a corrections officer and intends to apply to college.
Why is it when they bring up these foster children onto the stage to talk, it's always somebody that's going to end up being a part of government workers? They're stealing your kids.
Ranking member Danny Davis.
This one's getting long-winded.
for
Maybe I'll
his
do a
remarks.
part 2. I can't deal with this shit right now. You have a good one. As always, if you're new to the channel, please
Danny
subscribe.
Davis,
If you enjoy me putting public
for
officials on
his
blast, please give it a like if you learned something, or if you figured
Danny
something out, or
Davis,
this helped you in some way.
for
And
his remarks.
if you want to go ahead and throw the share button off Pachinko Precipice, I would appreciate it.
Member
And with that,
Danny Davis,
I'll see you next time.
God, please give me patience, because if you give me strength, I'm going to need bail money.
HHS. The pipeline, man. We fed a pipeline of tender-age children into sex trafficking and slave labor.
You do the same damn stink as your dad, except it's only half as good because, well, you know, you're missing an eye.
Do you care to pay your respects?
Holy crap! You are creepy as shit, sneaking up on me wearing that collar with that freaky ass smile.
non-custodian.